Hello again. Welcome to one of my little car chats. This is going to be a regular thing for Where's Your Next. I will generally have a theme about what I'm going to be talking about. So today, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about some things I'm noticing for folks who are career-oriented right now in this market we are in. So, there's a few things I'm noticing across the board when it comes to, let me talk about the ATS real quick. So not all applicant tracking systems are made equal. Very important point. And I want to dispel the myth of that the applicant tracking system is what rejects you with artificial intelligence. This is 100% not true. There may be that what the applicant tracking system does, depending on the one who makes it, is you might have what's called a ranking. So let me explain how this works. When you apply to a job, they might have an AI ranking system, which then puts you into a category. Now, the reality is that human beings still look at the applicant tracking system and they look by job, and there is a human in the loop. However, what AI is basically doing now, artificial intelligence, when it comes to your resume, is they are basically putting a ranking system together, and that is really what's happening across the board, and that is a common thing. So let me explain what that means for anyone who is looking for a job. What is important is to tailor your resume, for sure. You can have a resume that generally across the board is going to be consistent for multiple jobs. Let me explain how you do that. So, one thing you can do is, depending on the field you are in, if you're in what I would call a niche field, that could be something that has a skill that is very unique, and that is the primary skill that's going to get you hired for a specific type of job. As long as you have that skill listed in your resume somewhere, it doesn't matter the job title, you will still likely get seen, okay? That is an important thing. Now, here's a few other points and tips. Some roles are going to be specific with job titles. For example, a good example of this is accountant. And within that framework, as long as you have accountant, then you'll probably be okay. However, you're starting to see a pattern for the job you're seeking, and this is what I would basically tell you to watch for, is start to look at maybe 5 to 10 job descriptions that relate to the role that you want and the title that you want, and see if there's a pattern that's emerging for that field. So for example, if they're asking consistently for a specific type of skill, and that skill comes up multiple times, that is something that you should put in your resume for sure. So start looking, and again, make sure you have this. Don't lie, honestly. I mean, that's terrible. Don't do that. It just comes down to the fact that if you're starting to see patterns of, you may have you have a certain amount of that skill, just put it in your skills section. And the chances of you getting a call go up if you do that. So if you've touched upon it, you know what it is, you have an idea, you've studied it, you've looked at it, you have some kind of knowledge of it, put it in your skills. If it's a software, okay? If it's one of those theoretical things that is unique to your sphere, your particular discipline, then put that together as well, okay? So the ATS, what other things happen with an ATS? So, job search strategy these days, a lot of people, they get discouraged because they'll go to a LinkedIn post, and then the LinkedIn post, so this is one thing about LinkedIn. So there's 3 job boards I generally see that are being utilized more often than not today. And these are the big three, as I call them: Indeed, LinkedIn, and the other one is ZipRecruiter. So those three, generally speaking, are the ones that are being used the most. Okay? And so with that said, make sure you're on every single one of them, because they can still search you via those channels. Okay? So, and if you see a job on LinkedIn, it's very important to say this. There are some jobs that are, how do I explain this? So, some will connect directly to the applicant tracking system. And then there's some that are just a LinkedIn post, and the LinkedIn post is what they're using, essentially almost like an applicant tracking system. So what happens is it's connected to an email somewhere. So this is why this is so interesting, because LinkedIn, think of it as the one-stop shop, if you will, that's, you know, going to pull, that's where everybody goes to look at stuff. So if you see a bunch of applications on that specifically, and they say 100 plus, and that job has been sitting out there for maybe, you know, a day to about a week. If that is the case, the chances of you getting seen are still fairly high. Let me explain why. So like within 24 hours to 1 week, it may still be worth applying, and here's why. A lot of people on the one quirky thing about LinkedIn is that when someone clicks to look at the post, it says they applied, but they didn't. They actually have to go through one more step. So that's the quirky thing about LinkedIn, is it opens up a window, and it counts an application as a viewed. They're just viewing the job description, but they didn't click the little apply button. Or they clicked the apply button and they didn't finish the application. So here's what you need to know. That is a reality. So if it's been about a week and, you know, you see a lot of applications, quote unquote, on LinkedIn, don't believe it. If you see a job that's, again, my rule of thumb is if you really think you're a fit, please apply for at least a week. If it gets beyond a week, then the chances are higher that there are multiple applications on it. Now, what tends to happen as well is LinkedIn posts get recycled. So sometimes there's a posting out there that has, you know, just a bunch of different things on it. And it's one of those posts that just has multiple people, okay? So, and again, sometimes the posting, most of the time the posting is new. There are organizations that have what they call a ghost job description. That's a weird phenomenon, but let me explain what that is. It's a phenomenon where people are putting out a posting because they have to put it out there in order to get compliance, because they might be a federal contractor and the job might not be real. Now, there's another reason they do that. The other reason is because they need to put it out there somehow to, you know, make an offer to someone. Now, will they look at those at some point, those applications? Yes. So again, I would say most of the postings are generally real, especially on Indeed and ZipRecruiter. Those definitely are real. The ones on LinkedIn can be recycled posts, but don't always believe that. LinkedIn has got this, it's become an interesting smorgasbord of where people go to post it. So my advice on resumes is correct. I don't think you should always look at the different jobs that are out there and then get the type of, you know, job parameters. If you see kind of a pattern emerging for your skill set, then generally speaking, you want to put those skills in. So if there's a really common skill within your skill set, then make sure you're putting that down, because that's going to get you more interviews. You know, there's a lot of different, so the one thing that's always interesting about this is, you know, I would ask, this is another point of advice. AI can be used in several ways. There's the one thing that's terrible about these application spamming things. Let me explain about this. This is another phenomenon. So a lot of people recently who are applying to jobs, there's these multiple, they've all exploded on the scene. They're these AI driven apply for you. They're auto appliers basically. So what you do is you pay them a fee and then they'll apply to multiple roles for you. However, these things have been shown to have problems. So if you're a job seeker right now and you're thinking of using these auto apply bot things that go out there and then they apply to multiple roles for you, please don't do that. The reason is because many of those, if they're applying to a job on, say it's LinkedIn or Indeed or one of these others, it can get flagged. Okay, that's another problem. So just a lot of job seekers are like, oh, this will make my life easier. Oh, I'll get a ton of interviews. Well, they advertise that, but they're basically lying to you, because here's the thing. What gets you interviews is timing and the amount of people. Okay, so here's a reality check for you. You absolutely 100% should be networking for every job. To blindly apply to a role in 2026 is tantamount to frustration. It's always been that way. And places that are, promising you that they can get you interviews and get you, seen and all this crap, that's what it is it's crap. The reality is that, the ability to apply to multiple jobs, the problem is that it doesn't always make you look good. And many times recruiters can also see which resumes might have been auto-applied AI slop. Now, here's another point of advice for all of you. Should you use AI to tailor your resume? Yes. Are there EM dashes that can give away that the AI helped you? Yes. So, is writing your resume with AI permissible? Is it something you should do? 100%. The problem is, so say it's a ChatGPT related, resume that's been produced. That is okay, but just make sure certain parts of it that you may rewrite it slightly to make sure it sounds like you and your voice. That's what I'd recommend. So, getting for the ATS system, where there's use the AI to help you pull off the keywords so that it can actually help you analyze what's a common theme. So that is definitely something you should do. Look at the keywords that are on the job descriptions and see if there's kind of a common theme of what. Just ask it with the prompt and say, ChatGPT, please look at various job postings that are out there. Is there a common theme for this job title that you see? What are the top skills that are mentioned in these job descriptions? It's a very powerful thing to do. Then have it rewrite your resume with the same, you put in whatever resume you've created, and then have it add those terms if you've done it. And sometimes when any of us write resumes, we forget what we've actually done. Again, be truthful, but if you see a common theme, then, and you don't have the skill, go learn the skill, okay? That's what you should do. So that's my advice. So I'm putting this out there because there's a lot of myths, and unfortunately it's kind of a thing where you're hearing a lot more and more about this, and it's just a thing that's coming. So with AI the way it is right now, AI helps rank resumes, and you very much should use an AI tool to help you write your resume, but I wouldn't use the AI auto appliers because those are terrible and they don't do a good job. So that's the point of advice I would give today. And you heard some of the other points of advice. Find what the common keywords are for your industry. Find out, who the networking contacts are. You can also use AI, here's another trick, to drill down to the top organizations in your field that you'd want to work for. And just ask the AI, what are the top companies that hire my skill set, where most of the employees are happy in that role. Really powerful thing. Do it. Well, that's it from Where's Your Next today. Those are my tips. I hope it's helpful. Just a quick thought, putting this out there. And I hopefully it'll help someone, but that's my career advice for the day. We'll see you soon on Where's Your Next. Until next time, peace. Mike out.